Hi guys, it's AutoSloth here and welcome to another video. Today we have the AutoSloth Cup Series sort of mid-season, yes, the mid-season silly season update, really. I don't know why that was a sort of. So I've tried as hard as I can to, and I think I have every car that's been on the track this season. So I have the 78 and their primary paint scheme. A few of them are questionable because, like, if you look at the 8 car, he hasn't actually ran that paint scheme, but that will be his majority paint scheme for the rest of the season and next season. Okay, so just to make it so this video isn't 13 minutes long, we're going to, let's start. Okay, so why don't we start at the very top with the 17 car this season, Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes, no real silly season news about him. I expect him to keep his contract in the 17 car, as with Natalie Decker in the 43. And then over here, wait a minute. Wait. Where the heck is the 3 car? Okay, so there is no 3 car, but those two aren't teammates. So with my special powers, this car will now move to somewhere else. We'll put that there and just imagine that there's a 3 car right there next to the 8. But so RCR, they announced that Daniel Hemrick and Jeffrey Earnhardt will not be returning, though they have not announced any replacements yet. As with the 42, Ross Chastain will still be there. Also, another thing that I would just like to point out is for this next season, there is going to be a rule change on who is eligible. So now, any retired Cup Series drivers plus drivers who don't race part-time in Cup that race part-time or full-time in Xfinity or trucks. So, yeah. So there has been a rule change. And really after the first season, what is expected in most of the small teams who are out of the top 15 or 12 maybe in points are just going to clean out their whole roster. So, yeah. Because most of these teams are not doing as good as expected, so they're pretty much just going to clean out their roster and then start all over again. Okay, so next, let's go to Joe Gibbs Racing. You can see I have 5 cars, plus the 78. So Joe Gibbs Racing's 2020 plans are sealed. So they let Todd Gilliland go. Or they're going to let Todd Gilliland go at the end of this season. And they're also going to let that 20 car, they're going to do a number change, and the 20 is going to turn into like their part-time car, potentially with AJ Allmendinger. Even though there's also potential that AJ might find his way to one of the lower tier cars. So then, but what we're going to have is it's going to be and the 20 is going to be swapped for the 78, which will be driven by none other than Jeff Burton, which was decided he would be brought in this year as a replacement for Todd Gilliland, and he's probably, I'm not sure what to expect out of him. He's retired, but Dale Jr., who's really the other retired driver that found his way through the rules to make it in for this season, is doing really good. He already has a win. And Harrison Burton is doing awesome. He's tied for the points lead. So, high expectations for Jeff Burton in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 78. So now let's go smack in the middle of the screen you've got the 12 and the 2. So Matt Crafton, we don't actually know. He has not been officially released by Penske, but Stuart Haas offered him a contract if he could make the playoffs. So we're thinking if Matt Crafton can hang tight and make the playoffs, he will go to Stuart Haas Racing. As with Austin Cindric, he's definitely been the best driver at Penske this season, and we expect him to stay there. Okay, so now let's go to Stuart Haas Racing. Probably by far the biggest disappointment of this season. So, as far as all the silly season news we can get, Chase Briscoe will still be in the 4. Doesn't look like he'll be changed. And Grant Enfinger has not been officially laid off yet. It's not yet official that Grant Enfinger won't return, but Spencer Boyd and Johnny Sauter are officially not returning to Stuart Haas Racing next season in the AutoSloth Cup Series. They will both be replaced by possibly retired drivers, or possibly Matt Crafton and someone else. So now, let's go to one of the 2 powerhouse teams this year, Hendrick. So Rick Hendrick has made an interesting decision. It seems to be for sponsorship reasons. Noah Gragson and Justin Allgaier are swapping numbers, sponsors, and crews. Except for Justin Allgaier's crew chief is going to move over to the 9, while Noah Gragson's crew chief is going to move over to the 48. So those 2 are going to swap, and Brett Moffitt will not return to Hendrick next year. We don't know replacements, but Jeff Gordon seems like an easy option to replace Brett Moffitt in that 24 car. So, as far as I know, that will pretty much round out the video. Have I forgotten anyone? I don't think so. I hope not. If I had forgotten someone, we would have had a problem by now. I mean, honestly. It's not that hard. I made this series, and I shouldn't forget my own drivers, should I? Also, the 9, I would just like to say on a side note, the 9 has so many paint schemes, I feel like I'm going to stop running half of them next season. He's only going to run like 4 paint schemes, versus this year I think he's scheduled to run 9 different paint schemes. 9 in a 10-race season. I mean, honestly, is this totally necessary? I don't know if it's totally necessary, but it seems to be. Okay, so off my side note rant, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is AutoSloth signing off.